On this week's Kirkwood and Dunn, we have a lot to talk about, from spring game, NFL draft, a little bit, talk a little 500, plus news and notes like quarterbacks, former Indiana quarterbacks gambling on 2022 Indiana Hoosiers. What's up with that? Just a note, this is a scheduling change. We were supposed to do the Little 500 recap episode tonight. That will actually be tomorrow night. So if you're looking for that, stay tuned to our YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, and you can listen to our Little 500 recap more in depth with Will and Jenna. But this is Tim and I checking in on Indiana and all things that happened over the weekend. There's a lot of news and notes to get to. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at Kirkwood and Dunn. Go vote on the Traditions draft from last week. And finally, please like and subscribe, comment on YouTube or Spotify or Apple Podcasts. We really enjoy that interaction. Plus, it really helps out the podcast and doesn't cost you a thing. Let's go.
Powered by Riverside.
I am back from Bloomington after a wild weekend. And my reaction to Bloomington now is either like I feel like it's grown up or it's just become this football town. I don't know. I just it was a weird experience driving in there. I know you go there all the time, but it was a weird experience driving in and seeing football used as an advertisement as I'm driving into the town. It's a weird thing for me.
They put banners up on all the light posts on 17th Street. They've done a lot. It's really nice that we get to have a conversation where alum goes back into town, person comes back to Bloomington for the first time. And we're talking about the sports success, not like, wow, look at all these giant apartment buildings they put in front of these houses now. Like, that would be the conversation with me and my friends from undergrad that would every once in a while they pop in or something else and be like, so, man, what'd they do on Lincoln Street? They tore up all those houses, huh? It's like, yeah, that's the way it goes. We were talking about housing. Now we talk about our
that
sports
still is
teams.
wild. We drove around town. It'd been years since we'd been back. We did drive around town, and it's oh my gosh, I cannot believe how much it's changed quickly. Even we used to live on the west side of town, and that's completely been gutted and changed with Baxter leaving and all this stuff. It was weird, but the football side, seeing advertisements, and you have the Bison head on some advertisements as you drive in. Still the funniest thing to me is that Andrew Davis still just puts money behind basketball players who aren't very good and advertises them to buy their suits. I would boycott Andrew Davis if I was in the town. If they want to sponsor us, then I won't boycott them. But seeing the bad basketball players on their advertisements when I'm do you know Charlie Becker exists? Do you know Nick Marsh exists?
But let's be honest. Maybe those guys are just more expensive than the basketball players to get in on the sponsorship deal.
Sense.
That's Andrew Davis is actually going, hey, these guys are cheaper.
Okay, but they put Jordan Holes on their advertisement for a really long time post playing career, when he came back for the player development side. So I think they're basketball people. We have those in our fan base, which is basketball.
This is a very quick tangent off the top of the show, but who? You and I both have lived in Bloomington for a number of years and lived elsewhere too. I don't know how Andrew Davis stays in business. Who is their customer just exclusively old professor man to go in and buy?
Yep,
because it's it's how would you like to pay $189 for a polo? And that is who's paying that? I don't know. And so I would love to have a tangent offshoot of Kirkwood and Dunn. That's also, let's look at the P&Ls of local Bloomington businesses.
Well,
that would be an amazing series.
I do think I know this, actually. Andrew Davis is ran by a lawyer. A lawyer owns it. So I think this is a side business and also obviously
write-offs for his own outfits.
Yes, yeah. Exactly. So I think that's what it is. So yeah, it is interesting. And honestly, when I lived there, I shopped there. So Andrew Davis, I don't dislike you. I just hate your advertisement strategy. I just don't think it works. Because honestly, I see that and I'm like, well, that guy transferred. That guy didn't play as I'm driving into town. So invest in the football team. That's all I got to say. I think it's a good investment. It's a good investment. Tim, it was a wild weekend. Hopefully people got to enjoy the traditions draft. I know you got to listen to most of it on Sunday live with us as we did the premiere. We have the college football villains draft coming with college football with Sam, who was nice enough to come on the podcast. I saw him getting ready for the spring game on Thursday night. Galen Clavio had us both on Crimson Cast. It was very nice of him to have us on, and got to see Sam, and he's excited for the draft to come out. People won't want to miss that. That's actually coming out this Sunday. So we're doing back-to-back Sunday drafts because Trent is out of town both Sundays, so that's why that's being released. But you're on that one. But you got to see the traditions draft. Any gut reaction? The voting's up. Go to Kirkwood and Dunn on Twitter or Instagram to vote. Any gut reaction to it?
My gut reaction, and really, I did not get to participate in the traditions draft. The villains draft, I think, is going to do numbers, folks. Like you need to be ready to go off the top for that show. But the traditions draft, the IU traditions draft, I felt could have gone a number of ways after the top 2 picks. There's a myriad of experiences that people have at IU, depending upon especially like how old you are and the time that you were there, whatever else, and what is like really top of mind for you. But Sammy was ridiculous to be criticizing Little Five as the 1-1 draft. I mean, we talked about it beforehand, but like, duh, that is absolutely the number one experience. Because this is the thing, when we got into, and I thought Grace had a really strong draft ultimately, and IU football tailgates number 2 was to me number 2, but like those 2 are the top things. But even more so than a football tailgate is like the music school students who live in Reed Hall are like engaged in Little Five. They're not engaged in football tailgates. So like Little Five has the far most like reaching experience across the IU student body. It obviously affects like the local economy and like the entire state. So like Little Five is the main number 1 tradition. So I thought that was ridiculous. I thought Sammy, I mean, bless him, but like was also coming in with old guy takes. Was like, well, back in my day, we used to do Midnight Madness at midnight. There, grrr. It's like, guys, like things change over time. You just don't have to come in with the hot old guy take. But like, I thought it was a really, really interesting draft, and I loved Grace's board. Ultimately, you were a big hater. I know you've been a big hater on the William Tell Overture. I am also going to criticize you that you are the only person that calls it Monroe Lake. It is Lake Monroe.
I know. I already got called out for that.
Good grief. I was screaming at the TV when I was watching you go through that. But I thought it was really, really fun.
Does that, like, I like, honestly, I didn't even realize there was a difference. Like, that's like, until someone said it online. I like, is it not interchangeable? Like, who cares?
I think this is a regional dialect thing. Like, I've always called everything Lake blah, blah, blah. And I think depending upon where you are, like some places it's called blah, blah, blah Lake. But
I grew up, everything was Hillsdale Lake, Table Rock Lake. Like, all of those places. I mean, that was like someone pointed out immediately when I did it, and they didn't point it out on the podcast. But yeah, I was like shocked. I was like, well, at first I was like, I actually knew that. Like, I knew it was Lake Monroe because that's what people refer to it as. But in my head, it's like, I don't really, it's just interchangeable. Like,
I mean, I also grew up in Northwest Indiana. I grew up on the beautiful sand dunes of Lake Michigan. And so like the Great Lakes, I mean, they're taught everywhere depending upon your school, but like, it was really big part because it was a way to engage students with like, here's what's cool about the local area. So I wonder if that's just a thing, but we need to digress from talking about education systems.
Well, going back, one, Tim has old man takes too. So like he recognizes when old man takes are being fired. So, but yeah, I thought the tradition chef was great. If I had to vote, obviously selfishly, I'm gonna vote for myself, but if I had to vote for somebody, Grace probably does win it for me. I think she did have a great draft as well.
Pizza
so
X,
go vote.
Getting Pizza X like in the round, fourth round was incredible value. Incredible value.
Agreed. And I like the William Tell Overture, which is called the greatest timeout in college basketball, is the official name for it. and maybe I hurt her on the draft because some people are like, "Where's the William Tell?" And I'm like, "Well, that's what it's officially called." Is something that I hate, but I know it's tradition. Like I only hate it because I'm like new. Like I'm new to all this, and I grew up not liking Indiana basketball, so there's a
Right.
lot of combinations like blending there to be like, okay, I don't like this. This represents the Bobby Knight 1950s era, whatever.
It
So yeah,
is.
I think yeah.
I'm gonna get maybe razzled in the comments here when I say this, but I will say the thing about it that you are correct with, and this is giving the Confederacy is my culture type of a statement, that like it is very weird that the man with the flag is in the middle and all the girl cheerleaders like bow down to him. Like that is their move, is they get on their knees and they bow down repeatedly while the man in the middle just waves the flag. It's a little not of the modern times, but I look at it with endearing eyes because I'm like, oh, this was so much fun when I was a student. I got to yell at, Illinois basketball players for 2 hours. That was so much fun. So to me, it's my culture and that is my history. But I do understand as an outsider of like, this is a little, I don't love the feel of this. This is a little weird.
Well, be careful. Someone already jumped in the comments really mad at me for pointing that out. That's saying that I'm being bad for standing up for what I'm seeing as weird. I don't know. Whatever. That's the best part about traditions. And I also learned with Sammy's little 500 take, like on social media, because Sammy's been kind of digging in on that online, is that people don't like the little 500. Like a lot of people don't like the little 500. It's wild to me how that rolls. So it is one of the I think I'm very biased. Because I ran the little 500.
Right.
So like I love it. I think it's the unique tradition, but that's where I think you're right. Is it's such a unique tradition and it encompasses all campus. It is what it is. Even if you didn't participate, it is Indiana's tradition. So yeah. Well, Tim, it was a wild weekend, and the Little 500 did happen. Now, as I said at the beginning of the show, we will be doing the Little 500 recap show. I shifted some things around. Tim was nice enough to switch. So our two young panelists who are, in med school and working an entry-level job are the ones that are so busy that us guys with jobs, like, we're like, whatever. But thank you for doing this. So tomorrow night, on Wednesday night, the Little 500 review show. But Tim did watch a little bit of it. He's not an avid race watcher, but he's like, hey, this is going on. Trent had talked about it on the podcast last week. I'm going to turn it on. And Tim told me that he turned it on. He's like, I think the race is almost done. Let me see who wins. And this is what he literally turned it on to on Saturday.
Yeah, guys, you haven't caught the team yet. Now, there is an exchange coming in for Chi Alpha, and a lot of the other teams have their best rider on the bike. See Judah moving to the front now.
Chi Alpha making the exchange. Ryan Amade on the bike for Chi Alpha. 2 laps.
Oh, my God!
There's everybody is down. Everybody has gone down with 2 laps to go.
It looks like there's a turn.
Tim,
Yikes!
And for those on the audio, that was the clip of Chi Alpha's rider trying to get back on the inside line and clips the leader in cutters, Judah Thompson, and ends up crashing out the probably 5 leaders, like 1st through 5th, and maybe including themselves 1st through 6th, leading to Black Key Bulls winning the Little 500. We're going to have a full breakdown of that tomorrow, but I just wanted to get Tim's take as a sports fan to turn it on and see that.
And I would, what I would call myself as a Little 500 normie, which is, my Little 500 experience was sometimes forgotten due to alcohol inducement. Sometimes I have remembered it, but kind of it's a lot of like watching some people go around, but then where's the wreck? Rubbin's racing, baby. Let's see the big one. I want to be at Daytona. Like, that's what I wanted to see. And crazy timing by me, because I was like, I knew what was going on and started. I'm like, all right, we're probably getting down to the last 20 laps. So like, that's all I need to watch is the last 20. Find out who's there, see where it goes, because I know that these tend to be pretty packed, tight races. I do believe, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but like peak my college years in the late aughts, early teens, Cutters was really dominant, and they had a run of guys that, in particular for the men's race, could lap the field. But oftentimes there's still a very, very competitive race. So I was like, let me watch this final kind of sprint out, and I caught it right in time for that wreck. What a wild visual! You can remind me of the student's name, but he got the tag, and he seemed pretty good, confident, was getting on, was pedaling in, and I think he thought he was a little bit further still ahead of that lead pack, because he does not look inside at all until like literally the moment he's crashing into the guy with the white jersey, whoever that was. So like that guy, yikes city, man. I felt for that kid. He probably had a very tough weekend because I feel bad. These kids work all year long, and sometimes even like multiple years, right? They're on the team, but they don't get to race until a junior or senior year because they're just not good enough yet. And it's like, that's the one moment, and it's an incredible story, man. Wow. It was an incredible race there to finish out. What a time for Little Five.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, like the race was really slow, and so it kept a lot of people in the final pack. I think 13 teams were on the last lap, which is rare. And so it turned out like the women's race on Friday night was excellent, and it had a pause in the middle and then 37 laps to end it. So it was a lot of drama leading up to that at the end of the women's race that came down to the final lap. And then this one, we're like, okay, here we go. We're going to get it. And then it happens. And then, of course, there's yellow. That's IndyCar rules. So those who are IndyCar fans, which Little 500 is based off of, that you can end on a yellow. There's no overtime or added laps at the end. So people were obviously like ticked about that. And then for and I don't want to steal all my takes for tomorrow's episode, but like then for the back-to-back champs to win that way when they weren't in first, they weren't in obviously the top 4 or 5 spots because they would have been wrecked out if they had that, is just a way for controversy to stew. So it is go listen to the podcast tomorrow. If you're listening to this past Wednesday, you'll see the Little 500 recap episode with Will and Jenna, and we'll talk at length about it. But this is why I love the Little 500 for the craziness that can happen on that type of thing that we saw on lap 198, which is wild. All right, Tim, spring game. We played football. Now, we barely played football.
Yeah.
Like
that was
Signetti,
that was like, tag with some pads on. Good grief.
Yes. It was tag with pads on. It was only 2 quarters long. It was 22,000 fans, 21,000 plus is what they said on the Big Ten Network. I think Indiana has put out 22. We're out there. What'd you think about the crowd size? Like, were you happy with that? We talked about we should probably show out since we had a really cold trophy celebration.
I think it's pretty good. Ultimately, all things considered, it is Little 5 week, which to some people would say like, oh, that should help. Like people are kind of out and about, but also that may mean you have other priorities on Thursday of Little 5 week than going to watch a tag practice of the football team. Admittedly, the national champion, still undefeated football team, but a tag practice, probably not there. I thought it was really cool. I think it was cool that they had the draft up for Fernando when he got drafted, which was great. Good roar from the crowd. At a high level, I think it's kind of a fine thing. It's just a thing that happens in the spring. Continue to try to drum up interest and support. Perhaps most importantly, it's a big recruiting opportunity for the football program.
Yeah, we coming out of it, we found out homecoming is going to be Halloween, October 31st. Yeah, against Minnesota. Instead, there was 2 dates that they could have done it. And it was homecoming, Minnesota, or the Ohio State game. I think intelligently they didn't choose the Ohio State game since that game should be packed in a crazy town as it is. So like move it to the game that, theoretically alumni can afford tickets to go to. But then they announced for the Ohio State game, it's a red out. And I don't know if I love that, to be honest with you, because we used to do red outs every time we played Ohio State, I think. And the joke was the reason why we did it that way is so that we could get the picture of the full stadium.
That's probably still true. Like, we will get into Trent reviews IU ticket sales segments over the summer. But
yes,
there's still a chance, even with the undefeated national champions, that there are games that they are sold out from a ticket perspective, but they may not be attended to capacity. So I understand we want to get the good drone overhead shot of the stadium each year. It's going to be the Ohio State game. For hell or high water, that's the guaranteed. There will be bodies in every seat.
Well, I don't think it's about the bodies. It's just before it was because while there were more bodies, Michigan used to almost sell out too, but then there's blue in the seats and there's stuff like that. So now for us to go, we're going to go red as well, it's we're just going to make sure that on TV no one notices if there's Ohio State fans here, if there are fans. So right now the cheapest ticket to get into that game on April 28th is what?
However much I'm going to have to deduct from my checking account, that's for sure.
$374. Yeah.
Oh,
that's the cheapest ticket that I'm seeing. So it's going to be an expensive game, and Ohio State fans, obviously, they travel really well. They have a very loyal fan base, so I think there will be Ohio State fans there. But Illinois also was very excited to come over for that game last year.
Yep.
And there was hardly any Illinois fans there. So Indiana fans are packing out the stadium on game days. 22,000 fans for a spring game. We still have a ways to go on getting people to come to a spring game. We'll get there.
Yeah. It's going to take a long time to change the dedicated culture into 60,000 Trent McGee's showing up for the spring game.
Well, ironically, I didn't even.
So that's the best way. And who was literally in Bloomington but didn't go? You, Trent McGee. Yeah. Why? Because he wanted to watch the draft to see the Chiefs trade up for a cornerback. Okay.
I apologize that our fans and listeners of Kirkwood and Dunn want our immediate reaction to things.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm looking out for the people, Tim. I'm looking out for the people. So let's get on to our talking about the game itself. Josh Hoover is not 6'2".
Yeah, I think that's a bit generous. I did have that thought after we were joking about Colorado and what's his face and how small he looked in that photo.
Julian Lewis, yeah.
Julian Lewis. And because then there was a photo of Josh Hoover and the rest of the quarterbacks, in particular Tyler Cherry. And Tyler Cherry looks every bit the part of 6'5", and Josh Hoover is not 6'2". No, maybe 5'11 3/4. Let's call it 5'11 3/4. We round up to 6 foot, which means then we round up to 6'2". No, that's not him. So that's a little different than Fernando and Curtis Rourke even. He is absolutely smaller.
I don't remember him being that small at Texas Tech or TCU. So I'm going to spin zone and be like, wow, our offensive line is really big and our running backs are huge. And so we just make him look a lot smaller. But in fairness, I actually think there is something to that. TCU does not have Big Ten size. It does not have SEC size. So he does look bigger on a Big 12 roster than he does a Big 10 roster. As I saw when I pulled up Brendan Sorsby highlights for a couple of years ago, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we are a completely different size team than we were back then. So it is wild to me. I think Josh Hoover didn't play well.
No, for the spring game. Yeah, it was.
I mean, as we pointed out with Bryce Underwood when we were calling into question Bryce Underwood stuff, spring games, they only matter if your quarterback doesn't play well when they're not on your team. So CJ Carr played really poorly. I think Notre Dame might not do very well this season because CJ Carr played poorly in the spring game. But Josh Hoover, it's a spring game. Doesn't matter.
He's working out some things, right? The defense, these are practices that are skewed for the defense to be exotic with or whatever else. Our defense also, parents listening, please pause the podcast so your children don't listen to this. Explicit language coming in 3, 2, 1. Our defense Bucks. Okay. Our defense is fucking legit. I love our defense. They're back again. Love seeing the fucking Bash brothers up there, Tyreek Tucker and Mario Landino.
Yeah.
Like
8.
This is going to be really tough. But even Curt Cignetti had said, in his comments too, like, as some folks are like, hey, how's Josh Hoover coming along? He's like, probably about the same pace as everybody else. And that Fernando Mendoza did not have some lights out spring game last year or anything else either. This is probably just the natural process for a Cignetti and Shanahan offense, that these quarterbacks are going to take some time to figure out their kinks, figure out their roles, how they best fit into an offensive scheme. So I'm not surprised to see ultimately that he struggled a little bit.
I also think it was like projected like 13 starters were out, right? And obviously 2 in the offensive line. And it's one of those things that, and Charlie Becker didn't play.
Yep.
Which is important. And your starting tight end didn't play. So there's a lot of pieces that will hopefully be back. I mean, Cignetti said after the game, everyone's like, how'd it go? And he goes, no injuries. Like that was the number one thing. I think there is one highlight that came out of it that was made the rounds on the internet.
Great offensive mind. All he needs is a quarterback that's going to read defenses and make the right decision. That's exactly who Mendoza is.
Oh, Grant Wilson into the game. He pulls it and finds Tyler Morris. Touchdown.
So good to see Tyler Morris is healthy, and also is good to see that those numbers on the back end of the defense were not our starting safeties.
That was a broken play. But he looked that, and to me, that's the only takeaway is like that guy looked healthy. He looked like he was absolutely ready to play. Big Ten college football, game 1. Injuries have been a real bugaboo for him. So this is really exciting to see. I hope that he could be our number 3 receiver behind Charlie and Nick Marsh. But that was a great play by him. He looked really, really healthy, was running away from those guys. So that's a nice, exciting development in the spring ball timeframe.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's going to be a positive that he adds just tremendous depth to that receivers room. And we've heard a lot about Tyler Morris leading up to this. So it's like, he was featured on the Standards episode. He had some great highlights with Josh Hoover. And we're like, okay, like they're featuring him a lot. And then all of a sudden he does play well. I think it does lend itself to a positive trend that we're seeing. You talked about the defense. The defense goes up against the offensive line. The 2 K-State transfers did a great job in that game. Again, exposing that offensive line, but you'd rather see it like that than the other way around, where a backup offensive line is dominating your defense. So you got to take the wins. But ultimately, 2 quarters. I don't think there's a lot to pull out of it. It was nice to see us back under the lights at Memorial Stadium. I think that's the biggest takeaway for me. Any other final thoughts?
No, I would say, as part of the spring game process, we've gotten a lot of content because there's been a lot more press availability, right? I would say like my actual biggest takeaway of IU football since hoisting a trophy to today is that I've got really strong belief that Curt Cignetti has gotten everybody aligned to chapter 2 is done. We are moved on. And if you guys think you're going to waltz into a college football playoff or waltz into a national championship game, the work has to come. And it's like little stuff like Tyreek Tucker talking about like bringing guys along and like setting the standard, those sort of things. That like that Tyreek Tucker is still hungry for winning another national title, and he's imposing that upon everybody else. Like, that they need to elevate their game because he can't do it alone. Like like things like that. I felt hearing lots of those types of comments across the board is to me the most encouraging thing and my biggest takeaway really from this time period.
Yeah, and I think, there doesn't appear to be long-term injuries, which is the other positive, encouraging thing. So it's one of those that I think we have to get used to, this cycle of seeing new guys, seeing how they fit in the pieces. And even North Texas, let's remind ourselves, Tim, when you're laying on the floor because you're like, we're not going to be any good, or Josh Hoover doesn't look very good, like Fernando Mendoza didn't. It's going to take a few games for them to get their feet underneath them. And to be honest with you, we can talk scheduling, and we can talk about maybe I would like to see Indiana in one of those Labor Day kickoff games, but Signe's scheduling strategy of 3 games against good teams, not great teams and not obviously Power 4 teams, might be the mode if we're going to do this whole transfer portal quarterback, transfer portal players and pieces.
Yeah, he's building. People want to shit on it, but like he's building in a preseason, and it's just a smart thing to do, because even when we were breaking down the college football playoff bracket as it got released, nobody is talking about, well, and forget even IU football. Ohio State played Texas, but they only beat Akron by 21. Are they really even that good? Like, nobody cares about that Power 4 team and their non-conference, non-Power 4 team that they played as a warm-up. They all just accept it as the W. It is not a relevant point in terms of evaluating their resume or projecting their strength or anything else. Everybody's in line. So why would we just go schedule a really strong team? Like, we don't have that luxury. I'm perfectly fine with his strategy here. This is what we'll need. And you are right to call out that if we let Taven Jackson pass for 2 touchdowns and Josh Hoover throws 2 picks, but we win 23-16, it's okay. Pump the brakes.
Yeah. I think, and I would be disappointed in that, only because the defense gave up 16 points, because I think this defense is going to be better than they were last year. And they returned so much production that people don't even realize. I mean,
it's also going to be hard because they were either the first or second best defense in the country last year. So depending upon your measurement and whatever, so it's hard to be better. But I do agree that I think they can be just as good.
Okay, so the other element of this, though, is that we talk about the transfer portal and like getting these guys in here, having these preseasons to get the transfer portal guys integrated into the team. We had a ton of recruits on campus this weekend.
Big time recruits.
The biggest recruiting weekend in the history of Indiana football. I think that's safe to say. No commitments. Am I allowed to be nervous? I know. Okay, go ahead. YouTube comment, Spotify comment, telling me I'm ridiculous. I'm not going to clip this and put this online because the trolls will come out to just tell me how much Sig we trust. But man, I would have liked one commitment.
I get, but what? So you could feel better about yourself? Like, I don't care that there wasn't a commitment coming out of the weekend. I think these things are now more truly like professional negotiations. I would bet that many players left that, or many recruits left that going, I do think this is the place we want to go. Let's dive in with Hoosiers Connect and work out some terms here, right? And it's
why can Oregon and Georgia and all them get guys? That's all I'm asking. Why is Oregon already like locked up guys? And yeah, they're going to lose some. People are going to decommit, but then they will replace them with other guys. Like what? And why is Kentucky? Kentucky is like a top 10 class next year. Like who cares
if they win?
I get it. I want to be very clear about this, Tim. Very clear. Because you can yell at me. You can yell at me for a lot of things, but don't yell at me for this. Because I know it doesn't necessarily translate to wins. Like, who cares? Oregon has been chasing a national championship for years, and Kurt Sinek does it in 1 year or 2 years, right?
Yeah.
I get that. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm more of like trying to figure out the strategy of what does Oregon do when we know we have as much money as they do, and we have as more success on the field than they do. And their offense coordinator can go get to Kentucky and have better high school success.
So I don't believe that we have as much money as Oregon. I think we are closer to them. Like, we are competitive with them to some degree, but I don't think we have as much. Hence Signetti's comment, like in the past week, of like, yeah, we had like a $15 million. It was closer to 15 million than it was to 30 million. I think is something he said. And so that's where I think it is probably a little bit harder to nab a commitment off of one weekend. Okay, we got to fine tune the accounting on this. We got to make sure that if this is the guy who's ready to commit, this is the guy that we're really ready to commit to as well, right? Like, I'm interested in how this goes because we have Monson Sales is there, top 10 national recruit, number 1 wide receiver in the class. We had the number 1 overall player, defensive tackle,
Jalen
Brewster, who is, mind you, an active Texas Tech commit right now as it stands today, who's doing an official visit to us. So like Texas Tech probably doesn't feel great about his commitment. So commitments, I think I'm just saying that like, I will be interested to see though. I'm not worried about it hasn't happened in 48 hours. I will be more worried about what doesn't happen by like this summer. Did we not really actually yield anything out of this weekend? Are any of these guys ever actually going to commit? Where does this go? If we get a couple of these guys here in the next few weeks, great. If we get Monson Sales and it's in November, then fine, right? Then it's all sort of worth it. If we get Jalen Brewster in November, great. Like, how do we, and this is the thing that we will spend plenty of time talking about, which is how does Cignetti shift his overall roster management from let me just get some transfers and start winning to let me build the high school pipeline. And then even within that high school pipeline, how does he target elite top 25-star guys versus 3 and 4-star volume of guys that he feels like he could develop? This is all really interesting. And I think we're seeing it play out in real time.
And that's the conversation I'm wanting to have because it's not like you're exactly right. If he gets Mason Oglesby and Monson Sales and Jalen Brewster in November, like who cares they didn't commit in April and all that in May? Like who cares? I get that. But as you know, we live in a podcast world and we have discussions and we're fans and we're reacting to it. Just like when we would lead up to games and people are like, why would you even talk about this? Let's just prove it on the field. Because that's what you do. Like we're talking about this. The danger that I have, and I've mentioned it on the podcast before, and I still need to reach out to my K-State contacts to bring them on to talk about this, is there a danger of a coaching staff who's had success and had more doors open, investing so much in the number 1 receiver in the class, number 1 player in the class, and they miss out on those guys that we know they can have success and develop over time because they're so invested in this, the big name, where like Oregon and Georgia and all them, they're getting commitments and they might lose them, but they're at least getting the commitments. Those guys are feeling, the recruits are feeling pressure that if I don't commit to Oregon, I'm going to lose my spot at Oregon. And I'm just curious, I'm just having the conversation, people. How is this strategy going to play out? Because they obviously doors are opening and they're getting better guys in. And do you invest too much in it? Just having the conversation. So
it is. Yeah, I will give you a little bit of credit with your point. I'll concede a little bit, which is,
oh my God, we're gonna do a best of show next Wednesday. I might just clip this part.
Which is to say, the recruiting pitch to Indiana football has literally never been easier. We have 5 trophies that we walk guys past this weekend, including the national championship trophy.
Yeah.
Like, it has never been easier to make the pitch for somebody to come to Indiana. And yet, to your point, none of them were like, oh man, sign me up. This is the rocket ship, right? We would have and it was great little 5 weekend weather, like the whole thing, like Tom Allen would secure commitments over little 5 weekend. So it is a little bit just like, well, okay, but we got nobody. Like nobody just said, I'm so thankful that they are considering me. Who knows? There could be so much that goes into it, but it is a little bit of a, just one of those.
I don't know. Maybe the IU burnerverse on X can stop being racist. Well, that could probably help.
Yeah.
Just saying. So, especially when you have certain players that live online.
Sure. And recruiting athletes that are predominantly Black and seeing the IU student community not really be great about that. So
yeah, I don't feel like that
doesn't
would
play
help.
well. Yeah. Nope,
wild,
I don't blame him.
Wild that words have consequences, but make sure you celebrate when Indiana wins a national championship with predominantly Black players. So discussing stuff from people that are online, hidden behind anonymous accounts this weekend. All right, let's take a look at the draft. Another big day. Man, we have so much stuff. It's like May, and we have just so much stuff. We're talking about spring ball. We're talking about low 500. We're talking about the weather. We're talking about all this stuff. And then we had a record number of players drafted for Indiana football. And then, of course, more players drafted. If you listened to the show last Wednesday, you know Tim and I were playing a game. We don't have to break down the scoring totally for everybody, but essentially it was this. We try to predict where people would go in drafts, and then we would penalize how far off we got. And then we would have a total score from what we got. So, Tim, you actually kept the spreadsheet. You're an MSIS grad from the Kelley School of Business. So, we're going to give you a spreadsheet whenever we can. And you came up with a score. I don't know the final results. You know the final results. Can you let us know who won the draft game?
I do. It is with sad eyes that I look you in the face and say, Trent McGee has won the inaugural Kirkwood drafting IU football players into mock draft slots game.
We did it.
Woo! Congratulations.
It's a big day for Trent McGee Enterprises.
Trent wins with a grand total of 382 points to my 218. Really, the big thing here is neither of us are really good at draft or picking where players are going to get mock drafted.
Truth. I like literally was watching the draft and I'm like, I don't remember exactly where I placed these guys, but I'm like, it was a lot higher than this.
Technically, you did have the worst draft slot projection with Aiden Fisher, who went. You put him at pick 133, and he went 243. But I had Lewis Moore, who went undrafted. I had him at pick 105. So, like, the difference right there was just...
well, that would be the worst.
Oh, wait. Nope. Sorry. I didn't... see this. I did my math a little bit wrong on that one.
Yeah.
But Lewis Moore was not a good pick for me going 105.
When you made that pick, I was surprised. I thought he'd get drafted. Like, we're going to talk about kind of the surprises, but that was pretty high. I was surprised.
Yeah. Hey, listen, you do so many mock drafts. Really interesting. Kaelon Black is getting indirect heat online because the San Francisco 49ers picked him as the third running back in the draft. Yeah. And they have a historically poor track record of drafting running backs. So a lot of people are indirectly down on Kaelon Black just because of the team that picked him, which is not Kaelon Black's fault. But I was glad to see him go that high. I thought it was really great. And we have,
when we do our draft episodes, like when people take something, you're like, why'd you take them there? You could have got them like 2 rounds later. It felt like that with San Francisco. I love Kaelon Black. I think he's going to be a dude. I think he's going to be a 1 contract dude.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. I don't know that Kaelon Black will have a 7th year in the NFL on a 2nd contract.
Yeah. He just has he has a lot of miles on those legs, and he is older. Like it or not, he's a 6-year player coming out, and he's a running back who really started, I think, 2 years. Because he was our 3rd running back his first year at Indiana, but I think he came out James Madison, and he had a lot of carries. So 2 out of 3 years. He's just got a lot of miles, and that's okay. Like, he can have a very successful NFL career in 3 years. Hell, Terrell Davis is in the league, and he only played like 4 full seasons in the Hall of Fame. So, who knows? Maybe Kaelon Black could be Terrell Davis. Heard it here, folks. Tim, before we break down other surprises for Indiana or best fits for our players, want to talk about the elephant in the room?
Which is... No.
You're now a Dillon Thieneman fan?
Okay, listen. The haters are now out for white boys with motion, okay? Dillon Thieneman is an elite athlete. Sub 4.40? Are you kidding me? He's going to be like a missile shot out of a cannon going to track down Jameer Gibbs or Justin Jefferson or anybody else. I am in on the Dillon Thieneman train, okay? We are moving on. That was a problem with Oregon and their coaching staff. They did not set him up for success. I've got all the faith in the world that, especially Purdue did not set him up for success. Dennis Allen, Ben Johnson, they're going to get the best out of him. Raw athlete. Now he's going to actually get the coaching that he needs. All pro NFL safety. I project Dillon Thieneman.
I might bleep that whole section. Just disgusting language put on the Kirkwood Dunn podcast. I never thought I would see the day that Dillon Thieneman, there's positivity that's put on here. For those that are unaware of Tim and I's, well, Tim used to be included in this, but Dillon Thieneman specifically.
I was brainwashed by you on Dillon Thieneman. So I've done my own research, as they like to say, and I have decided Dillon Thieneman, future NFL All-Pro.
So Dillon Thieneman, multiple videos you can find on my personal Twitter account. But I took one of those videos over the weekend and put it out on the Kirkwood and Dunn account. And it has almost 750,000 views on it and multiple likes. And people don't realize that we're an Indiana podcast. And we're just I'm personally taking shots at my fellow co-host, Bears fan, about them drafting a Purdue tried and true player who went to Oregon and got absolutely worked every time he played Indiana, and Curt Cignetti. And I'm just laughing mainly at Tim and also like the rival player. And they think I'm like actually in on like making like the Bear statement. I don't know if Dillon Thieneman's going to be any good. I personally don't think he's going to be that good. I think he's an athlete. Okay. Like he's a freak athlete, which is going to be helpful. Yeah. If they set him up for success, he will be good. But then you also took a first round free safety, and congratulations. Like that's a free safety in the first round is a wild draft out.
It was the 25th overall pick, which you wouldn't know anything about because you were picking in the top 10. You got to find a little different value there.
7 straight seasons of drafting.
That's old history. That's old history. Yeah. Nobody cares about that anymore. You got lots of holes to fill. We just needed one, so we went with the safety. We're going to be just fine.
I thank God for the content. That's all I got to say. It's like, because every time Dillon Thieneman on NFL Sunday Ticket misses something, there is going to be a clip from Kirkwood and Dunn as he gets ran over in the league.
The clips I'm going to send of Justin Fields quarterbacking your team while Patrick Mahomes sits on the sidelines.
Running back.
Let's go.
Running back my team. Yeah. Option team with Justin Fields.
Yeah. Run the wishbone.
Tim, let's Indiana placement. Who do you like the most that ended up in a good place? And I don't think I would take actually Fernando Mendoza as my favorite landing spot for Fernando. Because it is the Raiders, so they have a history. But that's what happens when you're the one.
Yeah,
you
but
go
I
to
would
a bad team.
Man, but like, I would say though that I would still pick Fernando because I do the Raiders historically have been bad, but I really like everything else that the Raiders have done. I thought they overpaid for it, but getting Tyler Linderbaum as the number 1 free agent in all of NFL and at the center position is huge for Fernando's success. That they supplemented that along the offensive line. They've added in some wide receiver help. I think everybody was hoping they would take Elijah Surratt in the 3rd round. They did not, but they've got a running back in Ashton Genty. I think they've got a good offensive coordinator. So I do think he is optimized for success. I feel terrible about Omar Cooper and D'Angelo Pons going to the New York Jets. Guys, a little quick pro tip from Kirkwood and Dunn. Double tape up those knees, okay? Those ACLs get eaten alive at that stadium. Double up on the braces, everything else. The Jets are a terrible organization. Omar has nobody he's got Geno Smith to try to throw him some passes. That's going to go poorly. The defensive side, I believe Aaron Glenn's probably going to get fired after this year, but like that, those are really tough spots. I will say I'm hopeful about Elijah Surratt on the Ravens. I think that's
God knows they need receivers.
Yeah, but he's going to be at best the third, really even their fourth option after like the tight end out of Mark Andrews. So like, I think that's a place where he can still be successful and probably build a good career out of as well. And he's got a good quarterback. So I do like Surratt, I think, is my second choice.
So mine is Riley Nowakowski. Riley Nowakowski is built to be in the black and gold in Pittsburgh. Like that guy, and especially
that guy looks like a steel mill worker.
He does. He does. Like I thought San Francisco would be a good pick for him because of his just comparisons to Kyle
Juszczyk. Kyle Juszczyk. Yes,
I would say I've seen the J, and I was like, "It's not." Yeah,
not just
say what yeah, exactly. My second best pick is Kaelon Black out in San Francisco because I think he's really good. I think he's going to be good. I just don't think he's going to be good for a long time. And Kyle Shanahan, while I know he's getting ripped for some of his mid-round draft picks, running back draft picks in particular, that man can unlock things. And I think Kaelon Black's just a stud. Now, am I surprised they went with Kaelon Black instead of Roman Hemby in terms of just skill sets and what I would foresee out of San Francisco? Maybe they just really want to change the pace back than Christian McCaffrey. They just want a bruiser, and Kaelon Black is more of the bruiser than Roman Hemby is, even though Hemby. Is kind of
I think of it as how can we cut down running McCaffrey on 3rd and 1 by 25%? Okay, cool. Yeah. We'll let Kaelon take this one, see if he can pick up the yard for the first down, and then Christian comes back in.
I'm really happy Aiden Fisher got drafted, even though you get drafted that late. I get really nervous about it, but Houston's a good spot, good defensive coach, like to put him there. But I was actually kind of surprised because he just doesn't seem like what I know of the Houston defense. They have a lot of athleticism at the linebacker, and if that's probably one thing Aiden Fisher doesn't have.
And I think that reflects then that ultimately like his positioning in Houston is backup, and we hope we don't really have to play special teams. If we do have to play you, and this is what I think Aiden Fisher's strength is you're smart enough to know where you should be. You may not be the athlete to get there how we want you to get there, but you're smart enough to make the right play and generally try to be in the right place. And that's his sort of ceiling and where he could go. So I do think it's probably ultimately a good spot for him that he could carve out a nice niche as a backup special teamer and be ready to go whenever it is. And hopefully maybe not have to play too much because that defense is top notch in Houston.
Okay. There's this again. Guys, so much news to get to, and I'm leaving for a week, so I can't do live news. So I gotta get all in. I can't save anything for Sunday because Sunday's going to be our villains draft with college football with Sam and Alec Keyser, which I'm really excited about. But Bryant Haines, 1 a.m. tweets out best offenses we saw in 2025 scheme based. Number 1, Miami. Number 2, Oregon 1. Number 3, Ohio State. Number 4, Penn State. Unorthodox but challenging. 5, Paul Feinbaum just being weird, and 6, Oregon 2. College Football with Sam, who was on the Villains Draft on Sunday, tweeted at Bryant Haines, why was Oregon Part 2 so much worse than Oregon Part 1? Or is that classified information? Bryant Haines replied, Oregon 2 had an offensive coordinator that was torn away by a new job. Coach Stein is elite, but he was not in a full game plan, and their running back room was decimated. Bryant Haines then goes to delete the tweet.
Whoopsie!
So let's talk about the tweet first, and then let's talk about the deleting of the tweet. Any reaction to his ranking there? And I think that it was unprovoked. I don't think anyone asked him a question.
Well, there was chatter last week about schemes and whether it's advanced or not or whatever else. So he's probably still feeling a little feisty after Ty Simpson ran his mouth a little bit. So I'm fine with the tweet. And to me, the biggest thing here is Cignetti doesn't tweet like this, but this is Cignetti's voice too. And this is the way Cignetti thinks about it. It's the way they probably the entire coaching staff thinks about it. They walk with a little bit of swagger, but it's because they've done the homework. They have the confidence now that's backed up by the results, but like they know what they're talking about. I love the fact that he was like, Paul Feinbaum just being weird at 5 is great. It is, and a little surprising to some degree that he put Miami number 1.
Yeah, I agree.
That was a little surprising.
I think Kadarius Toney probably gave it fits.
Yes, that's what we were very worried about Kadarius Toney, because he's a elite athlete and is a all over the field type of guy that can wreck a game. So that's my biggest takeaway from here. It is kind of funny then that he tucked his tail between his legs and deleted it.
Okay, my reaction to the top 6. The Oregon split is interesting. Tom Fornelli on Cover 3 podcast talking about this tweet said that one of the reasons why he thought it was deleted was it was kind of Will Stein, the perceived quote unquote shot at Will Stein for his distraction, and it kind of breaks coach code for specifically calling out a specific person. Also, it was pointed out that Cignetti doesn't let his coaches. It doesn't really have a lot of press except for the bowl games and stuff like that. A lot of media interaction. Unlike Dan Lanning, it's kind of Nick Saban's tree of getting everything only one voice, and that could have been an issue there. I love it from the sense of like it's interesting and it's fun to like talk about. I don't love that it comes out at 1 a.m. because it's like
I didn't even see that.
like, bro, what are we doing? It's 1 a.m. I remember, I think I was up that night for some reason. Or I like woke up in the middle of the night and I saw like it was the top thing on my suggested tweets for obvious reasons. And yeah, it was sent late at night. So it's like, come on, man. I'd almost feel better about if it was sent at 2 p.m. I'll be honest. Because it's like nothing good happens after midnight. Don't tweet.
But also explains like why he probably has some regret that he didn't like, as he was typing it up, he wasn't really thinking through these things. Maybe had a few too many Miller Lights.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, that was kind of my reaction too. It's like,
but and this is the thing. He's now had like some viral tweets before this. Yeah. And I think your point of sailing here that Cignetti might have also been like, all right, let's dial this back a little bit. I'm fine for you to do a little bit, but now you're getting a little too on it. And now the national media has alerts on for Bryant Haines tweets. They didn't have those alerts on before.
Danny Cannell literally said he's his favorite follow on Twitter. Right
so
now.
That's the difference. Now you upped your game a little bit, and now everything you tweet is going to get flagged. No matter how harmless it is, now it's going to get flagged. So we need to rein it in a bit.
Again, all that considered, it's hilarious.
It's very funny.
And
very funny.
Honestly, this coaching staff is very funny on Twitter because obviously you can't see likes anymore. You can't see likes. But this coaching staff, you and I approach football and approach sports in a humorous way. And we take shots and jokes at people. And we think we're funny. And hopefully if you're listening, you think we're somewhat funny. Because if you think we're serious the whole time and not funny, then you're misreading this podcast in a lot of ways.
Yeah, this is a joke podcast.
The amount of likes I get on some things when I take shots from members of the coaching staff, it cracks me up every time. And they come in phases. Like you can tell when they've got on, like they get on Twitter and they like see it. And then it's like. And it's all these like taking shots at other teams, which is really funny. And I'll never rat them out and I'll never say who it is. Because a lot of times it's not even people that follow us. It's just like funny tweets that Kirkwood and Dunn's account or myself have gone viral, and then all of a sudden, insert coach here, like, and it just cracks me up.
And this is the thing, I wish I could be friends with these guys. Like,
I know
I want to so bad be like, how can I get the coaching staff out for beers? Yeah. Like, I just want to like pound some Miller Lights with the boys. Talk about how much Oregon sucks and Dan Lanning can't coach in a playoff game. I want to talk about, like, can we believe what Hugh Freeze did this week?
Yeah.
Like, I just would.
Let's talk about Paul Feinbaum for a little bit. Yeah.
The Hoosiers connect.
Right.
Put on Bison drops, night out with the boys for beers, put the bidding, started up at $100,000, sponsored by Upstairs Pub. Like, how much would that do? It'd be insane. I would love that.
Yeah, for sure. I think it would be a good time with the boys talking about that. All right, Tim, national news that does affect Indiana. 2 big news tidbits that dropped yesterday. It comes out, Brendan Sorsby, former IU quarterback who transferred to Cincinnati after Tom Allen was fired, is checking himself into a gambling rehab facility, or a rehab facility for his gambling addiction, however you want to phrase it. It seems to have come from his camp. It was his camp that put that out there. And he was very public about checking in the facility. It wasn't like a breaking news or leaks or anything like that. Before I get your reaction, I want to be very clear that, like, yeah, gambling addiction's a real thing. And if you have a problem, you should definitely go get some help, because it is something that can get you. We've all been there where we've been chasing losses or being really caught up. And Tim and I, you'll hear us talk about during the season, like we have to retire from gambling because we're so bad at it. But Tim and I think, do it mostly for entertainment, not something there. And that's where we encourage you. It's not a livelihood. You should do it for entertainment if you want to do it. But if you do have an addiction, just like drinking or smoking or whatever, there's a lot of things you can be addicted to, and you should stay away from it. He's acknowledging it. He's doing it. So that's the serious part of this, and we're very, very serious. Having said that, the man bet on Walt Bell to win football games. Like,
he bet on Tom Allen era Indiana to win football games.
Yeah. He was in practice every day and looked around and was like, this team's going to win.
Listen, my other takeaway here is credit to Tom Allen, because he got young, impressionable freshman, sophomore Brendan Sorsby to believe that they were winning games and going to be on a trajectory going on. Like,
that's a great
LEO
point.
was
Tom
working,
Allen,
baby.
motivator.
Woo, Tom Allen, let me sign you up for a sales job, man. You did it. Good job. Because Brendan Sorsby was a believer. But ultimately,
it's coming out now that, like, he was going to Cincinnati Reds games. He was going to Cincinnati Reds games and betting balls and strikes. And I'm like, we have a good friend of ours that's Cincinnati Red fans who is in hell all the time watching his pitching staff go. I can only imagine Brendan Sorsby doing it in Cincinnati. What do you do if you're Texas Tech right now?
Oh, they're screwed. That's the crazy.
Are you predicting he's not playing, right? He's done.
I think it's absolutely that he's done. Which is really interesting. I wonder, boy, there's probably a lot to uncover here. And we'll probably hear more of these stories coming out. Like the NBA had a big story. People forget to start the season about a gambling ring. Like these things are going to come out more and more. And the interesting thing, I mean, I would argue that we actually just know about it more now. It's easier to find on apps and whatever else and to get flagged. The Major League Baseball had a case with a pitcher late last year who was intentionally throwing balls to help friends win a bet and other things. So I suspect we'll hear this more. I don't know that it's necessarily more pervasive. Gambling was a thing long before it was legal, folks. I can promise you that, because I was doing it. Again, for fun.
Statute of limitations.
I actually have done pretty well the last couple years. I am net positive. So
someone pointed out though that he wasn't 21. So that's also he should be concerned about that, because that is breaking state laws, not just gambling laws.
But nonetheless, the biggest thing here is Texas Tech, which has national title hopes, which has college football playoff hopes, and put a lot of money into Brendan Sorsby as their quarterback solution, because the quarterback was a real problem for them last year. Now, absolutely does not have that solved for next year. So this really affects Texas Tech. The Big 12 race, I think, is now wide open from a conference perspective. So this is a big, big shakeup in terms of the top 10 to 15 teams in the country.
I think Texas Tech, who has one of the easiest schedules in college football next season, probably will look a lot like they did this past year. They're just a great team surrounding. They have a backup who played a little bit, and I think he tore his labrum or something, or maybe I
thought it was a thumb injury, like a hand injury.
I don't know. Jonathan India just is out for the season with a torn labrum, so it's just in my head right now. But their backup quarterback, and he was gonna he's like younger, so like he was going to stick around for a year and be their starter the next year. So it just kind of accelerates that timeline. But I just think they look a lot like they did last year because also Brendan Sorsby's not that good. We took him in the overhyped draft for a reason. Like it's like, sure, he has more experience and like he can do some things and he probably would have been good for that team. But I don't know if it's this huge drop off between him and
he was an upgrade over their last guy.
Yeah.
I can't think of his name right now.
I know, I need to look this up.
But he was an upgrade from like pretty bad to like just okay. Right?
Yeah.
That was the jump they made there, which could have been very good. That could have been enough for them to beat Oregon last year in the Orange Bowl.
Yeah.
But
Baron Morton was the quarterback last year. He was drafted by
the
the Patriots, actually. And then Will Hammond
is
the true freshman
now
last
the
year.
new starter. Yeah.
Yeah, will be the new starter.
So I think this ultimately lowers their ceiling now. It would be really, really hard for me to see them winning a national title. They could very well still make the playoffs because you were right, they may still end up having the record, but the ceiling I think is limited on this team.
Okay, let's wildly speculate real quick. We love doing that. So Brendan Sorsby probably won't play. I think there's a chance he goes into the supplemental draft, or he should, which the NFL does this weird supplemental draft every year that, I think Chris Carter was selected in the supplemental draft. So he can go in there and get drafted, which would be interesting. But on the other side of it is right before this podcast, Tim probably didn't see this on Twitter because he was getting home to do the pod. But it came out that like Cincinnati knew back in August about it had been tipped off to his gambling issues and didn't do anything about it. And I'm curious how this all, because there's a lawsuit right now. Cincinnati sued Brendan Sorsby, which is why I think a lot of this stuff is coming out anyways, because most likely they're trying to get out ahead of it instead of like Diana Rossini, who's like, I was there with my friends, instead of just coming clean and getting out ahead of it. I think that's kind of what's going on at the moment. And so we see all this happening. I'm wondering just the weird legal implications of them knowing about it, not doing anything. He goes in the transfer portal, not disclosing that. I don't know. I think there's just like a lot of different things there.
They could claim some level of deniability in the sense of like, yeah, somebody told us, but like we can't just treat that as fact. We got to investigate.
True.
We couldn't. We asked him a little bit. We didn't have anything else, so like it was one person. Blah blah blah. But they may have actually taken it very seriously and then been like, all right, dude, fine. You're going to leave us. You're going to screw us on the NIL thing. We're going to sue you. And we know that we've got the ammo to get this money back. And Brendan Sorsby overplayed his hand a little bit.
Yeah.
Oopsie. He probably should have just stayed there with the protective, program. Yikes. Crazy times.
All I know is we knew the spring portal, because they've gone down to just one portal window. The spring portal was going to be interesting because someone was going to try to transfer, and there was going to be a lawsuit, basically saying you can't limit the portal window. Now you got Texas Tech with their deep pockets. So what quarterback will they try to shake from a tree to go sue to try to get on their team?
That's very possible.
It'll be interesting with that. Speaking of lawsuits, the NCAA this week, considering a motion and seems to be on track to approve 5 and 5, which means that no more red shirts. You literally will have 5 years of eligibility no matter what. And then after 5, you are done. You won't get a 6th, you won't get a 7th. And I believe it's like immediately when you graduate high school is when the 5 starts, or there's some age things in there as well. And there probably will be exemptions to this rule for religious exemptions when it comes to like BYU and those type of things. So we could possibly see that. But just on its surface, the 5 and 5 rule, Tim, do you think it's a good thing, or is it just something that also will go to court and there won't be anything because they just want to avoid doing employment contracts?
There will be people suing it in court, and this is the bigger thing that ultimately, Brett Kavanaugh basically is the one that started all of this because he put it into his opinion of like, he basically and excuse me to be a Twitter lawyer for a second, Brett Kavanaugh was basically like, this case isn't really about the NCAA in this way, but like, I'm looking at the NCAA and none of this looks legal at all. So that's how we've gotten to this point where every player can sue for eligibility because all the courts are going like, well, looks like the U.S. Supreme Court is thinking this thing isn't real. So, this guy can play. We think he can play because none of this is allowed. So we'll probably absolutely see lawsuits. This, though, is what I would say is that when we eventually sort this out and eventually the NCAA and its member institutions agree to start paying football players on a contract as contract employees, this will be effectively what is part of the negotiated time frame of contracts. You start after high school. Whenever you start is the clock starts and it goes for 5 years. And if after that, I'm sorry if you got injured, anything else, but nope, you've got a 5-year window. And that cleans up a lot of these like weirder cases and guys getting more time, which is directing scholarship money / NIL money to other guys. And well, wait, but the rule was if you only played 9 games, then you could get it as a redshirt. Like this is we're getting out of some nonsense, I think, ultimately. So I think it's a good thing, but we'll see where it goes.
So for those on the basketball side, because there's talked a lot about the basketball side, and it also is kind of mentioned around the Stephen Daly, because Stephen Daly has not been invited or has signed with the team or stuff like that, is that current players who are out of eligibility do not count in this. So like you cannot get a 5th year. So president, it's not Emmert, I forget who the new president is. The NCAA recommended that they don't do it, and they did say it's going to apply to players moving forward, not retroactively. So, probably a lawsuit there. Hats off to the lawyers. They could just go and collective bargain all this.
Yep, this could all be solved actually very, very quickly.
Yeah, very quickly.
But anyway. We should get into sports law. We missed that.
That sounds ridiculous. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's, Tim, this has been a great episode, a long episode as we have a lot to talk about. Things will slow down for us as we look at the summer of no press conferences, no recruitment, transfers, any of that stuff. So we will have to, get creative the only way that Kirkwood can, which is like interview people and do rankings and just talk about ridiculousness. So we're excited about that. For the immediate future, I am out of town for a week. And so what we did was we recorded the Villains Draft, as I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, with College Football with Sam and Alec Keyser and Ben Buer, who you heard Ben on the podcast a couple weeks ago talking about Michigan. He's on there. Tim and I are the other panelists rounding out the panelists. It's College Football Villains, which is very exciting. And you alluded to it at the beginning, like that draft takes off right away.
Immediately.
It
is Artemis 2 rocket ship launching out of the gate.
Hard launch. And so that will be Sunday. It's like a 2-hour episode. So it's going to be a lot of times with our drafts, we don't like to do too much on the back end of it to give you time to consume it and then vote on it and all that fun stuff. Wednesday, we are going to do a best of show. So a lot of you are new to our podcast. And we want to look at the national championship run and clip some things that went viral and stuff like that and put that together in a short little episode for people to consume as a best of show since November. So we'll just look at the national championship run and relive some of those memories as Tim and I are yelling into microphones. You'll see our weights fluctuate as you watch through it. You'll see hair grow and all this stuff, and you'll see mic quality and camera angles change. So it's been a wild journey to get to this angle, this weight, and this microphone. So excited for people to enjoy that. As a reminder, go vote at Kirkwood and Dunn on Twitter or on Instagram, as it has our traditions draft vote. We're really excited to see how many people are interacting with that right now. You can like and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. Please leave comments. We love your comments. Even when you're ripping me for something that I don't really understand why I'm being ripped for, it's fine. I do enjoy it. And I can still think you're wrong, and you can think I'm wrong. I'm glad you listened. So for Tim, follow him at TB Hoosiers to learn more about Dillon Thieneman's impact on the Bears. You can follow me at ST McGee. Last live show for a week and a half, so hopefully there's no new news congrats to all those Indiana University graduates that are graduating and joining the alumni fan base so that you can come back for homecoming and Little 500 as well. For Tim, I'm Trent. We'll see you next time. Watch the Villains Draft on Sunday.